Fresh off of great success on Old Man Logan, Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino take us into a dark dual world where we've got two people searching for answers. What's up, everybody? I'm Stan, and welcome to Detail Comics, where we go over comics in detail. This is an iRate review where I go over a comic book, its story, its art, give you my impressions, and let you know whether it's something you should go back to the comic book shop for or not. Make sure you subscribe to get more of these every single week. The comic that I want to talk about right now is Gideon Falls #1. So this is by Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino, that were a crackpot team on Green Arrow and then again on Old Man Logan. And this is their tale of some sort of demonic ritualization that is going to be happening. It starts in a very odd manner and it ends in an even odder manner. So let's just dive right into the story and see what we've got brewing underneath the surface of this. Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino have combined on several different works in the past. So you've got Green Arrow, you've got Old Man Logan, and now we've got their brand new independent creator-owned work, Gideon Falls. And the way that it opens up is very much an interesting concept regarding what the story is going to present. So first off, you have this character that's upside down, then immediately everything's right side up, like we're shifted into their particular perspective. He's hunting through trash and garbage. He knows that something's there, and then finally he finds it, some sort of dark shard, almost looks like some sort of obsidian or wood, something along those lines. It's like carbon, but he collects it, puts it in a jar, and then proceeds to take it with him as he kind of goes home. There's this super wide angle, 360-degree view, a really interesting and cool perspective that they put on this character's abode, and he's got locks up and down the doors, and then you see jars of very similar shards that he goes about putting and categorizing together. So this isn't something that's relatively new. This is something that he's continuously been doing for quite some time. And while we don't have a lot of dialogue, we don't have a lot of text to tell us what's happening in the story, you understand that this person has an obsession and he has something that he has to continue to do in order to, scratch some sort of itch of his. As he lays down into bed and he starts saying his Hail Marys, his nightly prayer, we see this kind of duality shift where instead of being upside down like the character is in these closing frames, we're back in the right side up, and it's a much brighter kind of environment. And out in the fields, you see this dark barn, and this person is headed towards Gideon Falls, and that's where we get the backstory. We get the backstory of this father, this person, this pastor that is headed to Gideon Falls so that way he can take care of this lost flock. The person that was there guiding these people has just recently passed, and as he pulls up into his local abode, he sees the bus driver smoking a cigarette outside of there, and of course has a little bit of blasphemy. This father, Father Wilfred, is not your normal pastor. He is not the person you'd expect in this quaint little small town that looks to be somewhere in the middle of the Bible Belt, inside the Midwest, out in where we've got Oklahoma and Kansas and those flyover states. And it's really symbolized by the actual church itself, which is relatively sparse, but it is kind of isolated. It is its own place. It is a destination for people to go to. Of course, he runs into the welcoming committee, which is a member of the parish, and she's a relatively unique individual with her cat sweater and her hook hand as she unlocks everything and tries to get Father Wilfred settled. Even though she's already gone through the trouble to prepare a ton of things for him, she's, looking to possibly make things a little bit better. It's like, maybe I should make you some lunch. Maybe I should make you some tea. And he's like, no, I'll take care of it. It's totally fine. Don't want the rumors to start. Send you home and let me know. Wait, actually, I got a question for you. What happened to the previous father? What kind of relationship did he have with you guys? And she gets a little bit upset and then starts to leave at that prospect. So that's where we kind of conclude with Father Wilfred for this portion of the story. But then we jump back to the other character, Norton. So Norton is looking and he's talking to his therapist. Evidently, this person is of some sort of affluence because the perspective that he's in this office that's well above the city. He's staring out into this landscape. And this person is in a very sparse office. She's either a figment of his imagination, or he is somebody that is relatively well-to-do, or the family member of somebody that's relatively well-to-do. At least that's what I'm picking up from the actual art itself. And as he goes through his psychosis, talking about these various different shards, and now he knows where to find them. He can map things out. He can find the sources. They're all coming from the various same places. These pieces look like they're part of some sort of construction. And as we look at it, it looks like they're small pieces of wood, dark black wood and nails and things like that. And he's explaining his own perspective. So Norton is very much convinced that the devil is behind all these things. And of course, the therapist doesn't necessarily do that. She's relying on him to kind of complete these exercises. The only reason that he's outside of the mental hospital is because he's shown progress and those kind of things. He is in control. Norton is in control. And he says, "You're right, doctor.
I am in control. As he picks up a nail, something that glows red against this black and white background that is something calling to him. That's where we get a little bit more insight into what's going on with him. There's a shift in the color palette from Sorrentino as we see his cityscape and then immediately shift over to the landscape of the actual church out in the Midwest, in this small town. And Father Wilfred's being woken up, and as he kind of turns over, he's startled to see Father Tom in this bright red demonic or spiritual kind of essence with white in his eyes and blood dripping down the sides of his face, and he starts to run outside of the church and run through the fields. The drama of Father Wilfred pulling himself out of bed, putting his pants on, and heading out to follow after the father as he makes his way into the dark of night. And that's where we get a little bit of a juxtaposition. We get to see the opposition between Wilfred and Norton, the upside down, the right side up. And as these things go forward, we actually get to see what they both know in their hearts to be the truth. As he's tracking things down, as Norton's pulling out what he's sketched up in his past, in his history, what he's seen in a dream, the Black Barn. And the Black Barn seems to be this kind of demonic entity that's just rising out in this red. The painting that Sorrentino does of this image just gives you this immediate insinuation that this is nothing but an essence of pure evil that is sitting there inside this field, something that is encompassing Norton's mind. And the shards that we've been finding, these wood pieces, these dark obsidian black pieces, these are probably pieces of the barn, small shards left from its interaction in the mortal plane. But that's not where the book finishes. The book finishes with a little bit more dour note, as we see Father Wilfred turn and he notices some blood on some wheat, and he looks over and he sees the welcoming committee with her own hook hand shoved through her chest, laying dead in the middle of the field. And that is where Lemire and Sorrentino leave you on this book. And what I have to say is that I am a huge fan of Sorrentino's work as far as art is concerned, and I'm a really big fan of Jeff Lemire as far as writing is concerned. I've been following Dustin Nguyen and his Descender since the beginning, and it's fantastic. His Moon Knight was great. I love all the writing that he's doing. I'm reading the Terrifics. I'm going to read The Century when it comes out from Fresh Start. So Gideon Falls was a must-buy for me, and I can't be more excited for this. This looks like a dedicated horror mystery with a lot of psychological twists, which I'm really a huge fan of, so I'm excited to see where this goes. The art is fantastic. They've given enough time to Sorrentino to really sort everything out, and it looks like if we have this kind of consistency and this kind of visual imagery throughout the rest of the series, it's going to be a home run as far as these two are concerned. And then as far as the story concept, it seems the duality with the Stranger Things kind of settings that we've had in Netflix and modern cinema and stuff like that, it seems a little bit more contrived than I'm sure it was when he originally came up with the concept, but I can't wait to see what kind of twist Lemire puts on this one in the overall. It's a recommendation from me, one that you guys should be going back to get, but I want to know what you guys think too, so hit me up in the comments down below and we can start that conversation. As always, if you like what you see, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to get more news, reviews, and commentary on comic books, comic book movies, comic book TV shows, and games, and anything and everything inside the world of comics.